Hi everyone, my name is David Roach. I'm a Partner Solutions Architect at AWS, and I work with SUSE to bring their products to our customers. Joining me today?
Yeah, hi, I'm Stephen Morgan. I'm a Public Cloud Solutions Architect at SUSE.
And in this video, we will cover SUSE Manager as part of our SUSE on AWS video series. But before we continue, I do want to touch on two key points. In a previous video, we discussed the SUSE Public Cloud Update infrastructure. It is the default update service for pay-as-you-go instances. And in order to connect to the update infrastructure, the instances are required to be routed to SUSE's Public Cloud Update infrastructure through an external connection, which means it does have to have an internet connection. So Stephen, before we go any further, can you share with us what is SUSE Manager?
Yeah, I guess for those that have heard of SUSE Manager, we'll think of it as a patching tool, and that's probably what it's most well known as. But it also does a lot more than that. So some of the things it can do, configuration management, as well as security compliance against certain policies. And also, despite the name of SUSE Manager, it actually manages more than just SUSE Linux. We actually manage around 16 flavors of Linux. So the idea is with SUSE Manager, it can manage your entire Linux lifecycle for your entire Linux estate.
So we know that the external connection requirement is a reason that sometimes customers choose SUSE Manager instead of SUSE's Public Cloud Update infrastructure. Are there any other reasons why a customer would choose SUSE Manager?
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess that reason would be that of control. And that's control over exactly what patches get applied to your instances in AWS. Now, if you think about what a customer environment looks like, typically there will be some kind of development or test environment. Chances are there'll be a QA environment, and of course there will be some production workloads as well. Now, these are very different environments with very different needs. Now, the production environment itself, that needs stability. It needs to be patched from a consistent set of well-tested patches, whereas in development, that's where you can test some of the new stuff that's coming down the line from SUSE. Now, the way SUSE Manager helps with that, it has the ability to create a frozen patch set. And that's called Content Lifecycle Management. So what we can do here is create some patches from the repositories in SUSE Manager. We create a patch set, in our case called development, and that's frozen. And for that we use a series of filters, and they can be filters perhaps on the date, or even the product name or the patch name or something like that. And the idea is you create this patch set and then you patch all your development environment. Once you're happy that that works, you can then take this patch set and using Content Lifecycle Management workflow, you can promote this patch set into QA, where you can do some further testing and patch at that point and patch your QA servers. And then once you're happy that that works, you can promote that through to production. And only at that point do you patch your production servers from a set of well-tested patches. So the beauty here is you're patching production from a consistent patch set, which you've tested at various stages. And at this point, you can continue to do so and start the lifecycle again by adding new patches into your development patch set and start the testing process and start the lifecycle again.
So customers will often ask if SUSE's Public Cloud Update infrastructure offers a feature like Content Lifecycle Management. Now, if not, what is the reason? How does it provide the updates as opposed to what you just described?
Yeah, okay, so with the Public Cloud Update infrastructure, so we mirror all the content for that from the SUSE Customer Center, and pretty much as soon as we create a patch or a fix or an update, that's published directly into the Public Cloud Update infrastructure, which means that those repositories are changing potentially on a daily basis. And that doesn't necessarily provide the consistency that some customers need for something like their production environment.
So we do have customers that are running critical workloads that absolutely need and leverage content lifecycle management. How can AWS customers subscribe to SUSE Manager?
Yeah, I guess there's two parts to that. The first part is we make deployment easy, and we do that by curating a series of AMIs in the marketplace which have SUSE Manager pre-installed, so that makes the deployment nice and easy. The second part is around the subscription model itself. Now, the SUSE Manager subscription model is a client subscription model, so you need subscriptions depending on the amount of clients that you're managing with SUSE Manager. And there are two ways to get hold of those. The first is either on an annual basis, where you can purchase subscriptions for a whole year, or probably more relevant in today's world is the new listing which we have on the AWS Marketplace, which is our pay monthly model. And that gives the ability for customers to pay a monthly charge depending on the number of instances that are under management during that month. So that gives the customers two things. One, ultimate flexibility over what they manage, and the ability to consume and bill via the AWS Marketplace.
So AWS has listed SUSE Linux Enterprise Server for SAP applications going all the way back to 12 Service Pack 2. And most recently, we've listed 15 SP6. How can those customers take advantage of SUSE Manager?
Yeah, so it's probably worth noting that for customers that are running SLES for SAP applications that are consuming on the pay-as-you-go model via the AWS Marketplace, that actually comes bundled with the SUSE Manager client software. So potentially customers running exclusively pay-as-you-go environments of SLES for SAP applications can deploy SUSE Manager at zero software cost. Now, one of the things I found kind of interesting though, talking about that, is exactly how we get the patches into SUSE Manager for customers that are exclusively pay-as-you-go. And I know we've both had discussions over the years with customers over exactly how that works. Did you want to walk us through that?
Yeah, I can do that. So SUSE launched a SUSE Manager pay-as-you-go connector in 2022. And what that pay-as-you-go connector allows is pay-as-you-go instances to connect and receive updates from SUSE Manager as opposed to the SUSE's public cloud update infrastructure. Now you can configure the pay-as-you-go connector to connect to a running instance, and in this case, it's SUSE Linux Enterprise Server for SAP applications. And that connector will validate that it is a pay-as-you-go instance using the instance metadata. So every instance that Amazon EC2 is running, that an Amazon EC2 instance is running, there is associated instance metadata. And SUSE Manager uses that instance metadata to validate that it is a pay-as-you-go instance. And once its validation is successfully completed, SUSE will then connect to the public cloud update infrastructure and mirror the repositories to SUSE Manager. Once that mirroring is complete, you now have pay-as-you-go instances that have been successfully validated and can take advantage of content lifecycle management. So, Stephen, I know SUSE Manager is a complex topic. Where can customers and partners receive more information on SUSE Manager?
Yeah, okay, so there's a lot of information out there. One of the things I would do is take a look at some of the SUSE webinars that are up and coming, and we often have those on SUSE Manager, either the product as a whole or certain features of SUSE Manager itself. One thing I like to do though, to learn a product, I always like to get my hands on the product in the first place. I mentioned our pay monthly listing in the AWS Marketplace. That actually comes with a 30-day free trial. So if customers want to deploy SUSE Manager, test it out, manage a few instances, they can do that for the first 30 days with no software cost.
Well, thank you, Stephen. Now, we've covered a few topics on SUSE Manager, and SUSE Manager, as I mentioned earlier, is a very comprehensive topic. So at the end of the video, there will be a QR code with additional links to resources. So once again, thank you, Stephen, for presenting, and thanks everyone for watching.